6 feet 7 inches. That is how tall he stood. Taller than most tight ends. Taller than many offensive linemen. Taller than any linebacker who had ever played professional football. And on an October afternoon in 1981, every single inch of that frame was hurtling toward a quarterback who had made a terrible mistake. The quarterback never saw him coming. Nobody ever saw him coming. When the impact occurred, the sound echoed through the stadium like a thunderclap. The football flew backwards, tumbling end over end before a Raiders defender scooped it up and raced toward the end zone. But here's what makes this moment extraordinary. This was not a blitz. This was not a called pressure. The linebacker had dropped into coverage, read the quarterback's eyes, anticipated the throw, and covered 15 yards in the time it took the quarterback to make his decision. A 6 7 inch linebacker had just played the position like a free safety, a defensive end, and a heat-seeking missile all at once. The opposing sideline stood frozen. Their offensive coordinator turned to his assistant and asked a question that coaches had been asking for over a decade. What exactly is he? That question never received a satisfactory answer, because this player defied every category the NFL had ever created. He was not supposed to exist. His body was wrong for the position. His playing style broke every rule coaches taught. His personality was so bizarre that teammates wondered if he was genuinely insane. And yet, over 15 seasons, he won 4 Super Bowl championships. He played in 8 Pro Bowls. He earned a place on the NFL's all-time team. He blocked more kicks than any linebacker in history. He intercepted more passes than linebackers are supposed to intercept. He terrorized quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, and offensive coordinators with equal enthusiasm. He was the heart of the most feared defense in NFL history. And I have not even told you the strangest part yet. I have not told you about the horse, but I will, later. First, you need to understand something that the NFL does not want you to know, something that changes how you view defensive football entirely. Before this player arrived, the outside linebacker position had strict limitations. You were either big enough to stop the run or fast enough to cover receivers. You could rush the passer or you could drop into zones. You could be physical or you could be athletic. Nobody did everything. The position did not allow it. This player heard those limitations and decided they did not apply to him. What he did to the outside linebacker position is the equivalent of someone showing up to a chess tournament and announcing they would also be playing checkers, poker, and backgammon simultaneously, on the same board, while blindfolded. It should not have worked. It worked better than anything the NFL had ever seen. Let me take you back to where this impossibility began, because the origin story is crucial to understanding what came later. Guatemala City, 1947. A child is born to an American father working in the airline industry and a mother of mixed heritage. The family moves frequently. The child attends schools in multiple countries. He learns to adapt to new environments, new languages, new social structures. By the time he reaches high school in Florida, he is already unusual. Tall beyond reason, with limbs that seem to extend further than physics should permit. He looks awkward, gangly, uncoordinated. He looks like the last person who should play football. But when he steps onto the field, something strange happens. Those awkward limbs become weapons. That unusual height becomes an advantage. The adaptability he learned from a childhood of constant change transforms into an ability to read situations faster than anyone around him. He becomes a star, then a legend, then something that college recruiters do not know how to categorize. The University of Miami offers him a scholarship. They do not know what position he should play, they just know they need him on their team. At Miami, he plays defensive end, then linebacker, then something in between that does not have a name. He is too tall for linebacker. He is not heavy enough for defensive end. He is perfect for a position that does not exist yet. The coaches let him figure it out himself. This turns out to be the best decision they ever make. By his senior year, he has become the most dominant defensive player in college football. He wins every award available. He is a consensus All-American. He is the most coveted defensive prospect in the 1969 NFL Draft. But here is where the story takes its first unexpected turn. Teams are afraid to draft him. His height scares them. 6'7" linebackers do not exist in the NFL. The position requires a lower center of gravity. It requires the ability to change direction quickly. It requires body types that this player does not possess. Scout after scout writes the same concern in their reports. Physical tools are extraordinary, but body type is wrong for the position. High-risk selection. The Baltimore Colts ignore these concerns. They select him in the second round, 46th overall. Within 3 years, every team that passed on him will realize they made a catastrophic mistake. His name is Ted Hendricks, and he is about to change defensive football forever. But I am not going to tell you about his Baltimore years first. I am going to tell you about what happened when he arrived in Oakland, because that is when Ted Hendricks stopped being merely great and started being legendary. 1975, the Oakland Raiders. Al Davis has assembled one of the most talented rosters in professional football. The offense features Ken Stabler, one of the most accurate passers in the game. The defense features future Hall of Famers at multiple positions. But something is missing. The Raiders' defense is good, it is not feared. Opponents respect Oakland, but they do not dread facing them. They do not lose sleep the week before playing the silver and black. Ted Hendricks changes that within 6 games. His first season with the Raiders, he blocks 4 kicks. 4 in a single season. Most players do not block 4 kicks in an entire career. But the kick blocking is not what transforms the defense. The transformation comes from something less quantifiable, something that film study cannot fully capture. Ted Hendricks brings chaos. Before his arrival, opposing offenses could predict what the Raiders' defense would do. They could identify tendencies. They could anticipate pressure. They could scheme around Oakland's strengths. Hendricks destroys predictability. On any given play, he might rush the quarterback. He might drop into coverage. He might blitz from an angle that offensive linemen have never seen. He might stand at the line of scrimmage for 3 full seconds, reading the play, before exploding in a direction that makes no logical sense. And it works. Every time. It always works. Offensive coordinators begin including special sections in their game plans devoted entirely to Hendricks. Where is he lined up? What is he doing pre-snap? What are his tendencies on third down? They study him for hours. They devise schemes to neutralize him. None of it matters, because Ted Hendricks does not have tendencies. Ted Hendricks has instincts that operate on a different frequency than normal football intelligence. He sees things before they happen. He anticipates plays before quarterbacks have finished their reads. By 1976, the Raiders' defense has become genuinely terrifying. They have Phil Villapiano. They have Jack Tatum, the hardest hitter in professional football. They have a secondary that punishes receivers for the crime of catching passes. And at the center of it all, standing 6 feet 7 inches tall, reading offenses like he has already seen the future, is Ted Hendricks. The Raiders win Super Bowl XI. They crush the Minnesota Vikings 32-14. Their defense is suffocating. Their dominance is complete. Ted Hendricks has his 2nd championship ring, but he is nowhere near finished. Now I need to tell you about the personality, because understanding Ted Hendricks as a player is impossible without understanding Ted Hendricks as a human being. He was, by every account, genuinely strange. Not eccentric in the way that celebrities sometimes perform eccentricity. Strange in a way that made teammates question whether he experienced reality the same way they did. He gave interviews that wandered into philosophy, psychology, and topics that had nothing to do with football. He made jokes that took several seconds to process. He approached the game with a combination of intense seriousness and absolute absurdity that nobody could reconcile. His teammates nicknamed him the Mad Stork. The Stork part was obvious. His long limbs and unusual proportions made the comparison inevitable. The mad part emerged from experience. Here's an example that illustrates the point. During training camp one year, Hendricks decided that practice had become too predictable. The team was going through the motions. The intensity had faded. So Ted Hendricks rode a horse onto the practice field. He was wearing a German military helmet from World War I. He was carrying a traffic cone as a lance. He was charging toward his teammates like a medieval knight entering a jousting tournament. The coaching staff did not know how to respond. Half the team was laughing. The other half was genuinely concerned about their teammates' mental state. But here's what happened next. That practice became the most intense session of the entire training camp. Players who had been sleepwalking through drills suddenly found their energy. The absurdity of the moment had broken through the monotony and reminded everyone that football was supposed to be fun. Ted Hendricks understood something that most players never grasp. He understood that fear and joy are not opposites. He understood that the most terrifying defenders can also be the most unpredictable personalities. He understood that keeping opponents guessing required keeping everyone guessing, including your own teammates. The horse incident became legend. It has been told and retold for decades. But it was not an isolated moment of madness. It was a reflection of how Hendricks approached everything. He could not be predicted because he refused to be predictable, on the field and off it. Let me tell you about the play that defensive coaches still study today. 1980, AFC Divisional Playoff, Oakland Raiders versus Cleveland Browns. The Browns have a 3rd and 6 at midfield. Their quarterback, Brian Sipe, has been having an excellent season. He's confident. He's in rhythm. He has identified what he believes is a mismatch. Hendricks is lined up over the tight end. At 6 feet 7 inches, he appears to be in coverage. The Browns' offensive coordinator sees this and calls a quick out to the opposite side of the field. Get the ball out fast, move the chains, keep the drive alive. What happens next takes approximately 2.3 seconds. Hendricks does not cover the tight end. He does not rush the quarterback. He does something that nobody in the stadium anticipates. He reads Sipe's eyes. He sees the quarterback's shoulders turn toward the opposite side of the field. He calculates the trajectory of the throw before Sipe's arm moves forward. And then Ted Hendricks, 6 feet 7 inches of linebacker, runs a route that mirrors the intended receiver. When the ball arrives at the target, Hendricks is there. His arms extend to their full, impossible length. The interception is clean. The Browns' drive is dead. Sipe stands frozen, trying to understand what just happened. He had made the correct read. He had thrown to the open receiver, and somehow a linebacker who was lined up 15 yards away had materialized in the passing lane. After the game, Sipe is asked about the interception. His answer is revealing.
He says he has never seen a linebacker do what Hendricks did on that play. He says he does not understand how it was physically possible. He says he hopes he never has to face Ted Hendricks again. That interception was not lucky. It was not a case of the quarterback making a mistake. It was Ted Hendricks demonstrating that he had transcended the limitations of his position. He was not playing linebacker anymore. He was playing defense, the entire defense, all at once. 26 career interceptions for a linebacker. That number is absurd. It defies explanation. Defensive backs, players whose entire job is intercepting passes, often do not reach 26 career interceptions. Ted Hendricks did it while also recording double-digit sack seasons, while also blocking 25 kicks, while also being the most disruptive run defender at his position. There is no comparison in NFL history. There is no player who did all the things Ted Hendricks did. There are players who excelled at one aspect of his game. There are no players who excelled at every aspect. He was singular, unrepeatable, a prototype without successors because nobody else was built to do what he did. Now, let me tell you about his final Super Bowl, because this is where the legend reaches its peak. January 22nd, 1984, Tampa, Florida, Super Bowl 18. The Los Angeles Raiders are facing the Washington Redskins. The Redskins are the defending champions. They have the most explosive offense in football. They are favored to win by 3 points. Ted Hendricks is 33 years old. He has been playing professional football for 15 seasons. His body has absorbed thousands of collisions. His joints ache constantly. He knows this might be his final championship opportunity. What happens over the next 3 hours is a defensive masterpiece. The Raiders do not just beat the Redskins, they humiliate them. They hold the highest scoring offense in the league to 9 points. They force turnovers. They pressure the quarterback relentlessly. They make the defending champions look like a team that does not belong on the same field. And at the center of it all, playing every snap, refusing to leave the field despite his age and accumulated damage, is Ted Hendricks. He does not record gaudy statistics in this game. He does not need to. His presence alone is worth more than numbers can measure. Watch the film. Watch how the Redskins' offense adjusts their protection based on where Hendricks lines up. Watch how they keep the tight end in to chip him on passing downs. Watch how they run away from his side of the field. An entire offense is being designed around avoiding one 33-year-old linebacker. The Raiders win 38-9. Ted Hendricks has his 4th championship ring. He has won Super Bowls with 2 different franchises. He has been named to the All-Pro team 4 times. He has redefined what a linebacker can be. And incredibly, impossibly, he has never missed a single game. 215 consecutive games, 15 seasons, not one absence. The man who looked too tall to play linebacker, the player scouts said was too risky to draft, the athlete whose body type violated every rule of positional analysis. He outlasted everyone. He outperformed everyone, and he did it without missing a single snap. The 1984 Super Bowl is his final game. He retires as the most decorated linebacker of his era. He retires with records that may never be broken. He retires as the heart of the most feared defense in NFL history. But the Raiders' defense that Ted Hendricks anchored was not just feared because of him. It was feared because he elevated everyone around him. When you have a player who can do everything, it allows your other defenders to specialize. When opponents cannot predict what Hendricks will do, they cannot predict what the entire defense will do. When offensive coordinators spend half their preparation time scheming against one player, they have less time to scheme against the rest. Hendricks made the Raiders' defense unpredictable, and unpredictability is the most dangerous quality a defense can possess. The silver and black terrorized the AFC for nearly a decade. They won 3 Super Bowls in 8 years. They produced Hall of Famers at every level of the defense. They became the standard against which all other defenses were measured.
None of it happens without Ted Hendricks. In 1990, the Pro Football Hall of Fame inducted Ted Hendricks in his first year of eligibility. The selection committee did not hesitate. There was no debate. The most versatile linebacker in NFL history walked into Canton without controversy. But here is what bothers me about how the NFL remembers Ted Hendricks today. They remember the statistics. They remember the championships. They remember the horse incident and the Mad Stork nickname. They do not remember the revolution. Before Ted Hendricks, the linebacker position had boundaries. After Ted Hendricks, those boundaries no longer existed. Every hybrid defender who rushes the passer and drops into coverage, every tall, athletic linebacker who defies positional stereotypes, every defensive coordinator who schemes to create unpredictability, they are all working with tools that Ted Hendricks invented. He did not just play the position well, he expanded the definition of what the position could be. He proved that physical limitations are often mental constructions. He demonstrated that the right player with the right instincts can transcend every rule the sport has ever created. 6 feet 7 inches, too tall for linebacker, too slow for defensive back, too light for defensive line, too everything for the NFL to handle. The Raiders understood what they had. Al Davis, who collected misfits and malcontents like other owners collected luxury boxes, recognized immediately that Ted Hendricks was his kind of player. A rebel, an original, a man who could not be contained by conventional categories. The silver and black was built for players like Hendricks. The franchise identity attracted athletes who did not fit elsewhere. The culture celebrated individuality rather than conformity. And in return, those players gave the Raiders everything they had. Ted Hendricks gave 15 seasons, 4 championships, 8 Pro Bowls, 215 consecutive games, the most complete linebacker career in NFL history. He gave the Raiders his genius, and they gave him immortality. The most feared defense in NFL history was not built on size alone. It was not built on speed alone. It was not built on aggression alone. It was built on chaos, on unpredictability, on the understanding that fear comes from not knowing what is going to happen next. Ted Hendricks embodied that philosophy more completely than any player who ever wore silver and black. He was chaos personified. He was unpredictability given human form. He was the reason offensive coordinators lost sleep and quarterbacks saw ghosts. The mad Stork, the player who rode a horse onto a practice field, the linebacker who intercepted passes like a safety and rushed quarterbacks like a defensive end and blocked kicks like a special teams demon. There will never be another player like him. The NFL has tried to replicate what he did. They have failed. They will continue to fail. Because Ted Hendricks was not a product of coaching or scheme or physical development. Ted Hendricks was a force of nature, and forces of nature cannot be manufactured. If you believe the Raiders have the most incredible history in professional football, subscribe to this channel. We tell the stories of legends who defined a franchise and revolutionized a sport. Share this video with anyone who loves defensive football. Share it with anyone who remembers what the Raiders' defense meant in the 1970s and 80s. Share it with anyone who understands that greatness comes in forms the experts cannot predict. The silver and black has produced many Hall of Famers, but there was only one Mad Stork, and the NFL will never see his like again.